Welcome to another episode of Moonshots. As you know, in Moonshots, we bring the most amazing guests that have the audacious ideas that can change the way people live their lives. And today's guest is absolutely no exception. Today, I'm going to introduce you to Miss Rajshree Patel. She is just absolutely the person that you want to hear about. So, Miss Rajshree, what is your moonshot?
My moonshot. Health as defined in Vedanta. In the West, we often think of health as a disease-free body. But for me, it's a disease-free body, a mind and a memory that's trauma-free, and a soul that soars, that's fulfilled. If these three things are met in human being, it's our birthright. And reclaiming it, having humanity live that, that's my moonshot. On all three levels, health. It's not enough to have one thing. 200% success is how I define my moonshot. Inside, 100%. Outside, 100%.
How would you achieve each of the three things? So help the audience understand. How would you achieve all those three things?
So body health is fairly simple, right? And I think
that's biome, I suppose.
Yeah, that's I was going to say. So you're very involved in that piece. Body health is eat right, exercise, and sleep. Don't sacrifice on these three things. And then you have, as you said, biome. Really address it on the subtle level to the bigger level, and you have greater physical performance. Mental health is something we've never been taught. We brush our teeth twice a day. We have physical hygiene. We bathe and so on and groom ourselves. But mental hygiene, to look inward and to detox the shit we carry around, is not something anybody teaches us. And meditation, breathing, prayerfulness, practicing gratitude, you name it, anything that takes you look at your inner landscape is mental health or stamina, vitality. Emotional health is also part of life. It's a must for humanity. How do you do that? Again, you have to go back to looking at your inner landscape. You can have everything outside, but if inside is empty, something's going to be missing. I know enough people, enough CEOs out there who have all the outer success, but if you look at their family life, if you look at their internal life, there's a void there. They're not sleeping, they're not connecting to themselves or their children or their spouse, and somehow there's the hype of go, go, go. So meditation, looking inward, looking at your own mindset is an absolute must.
What about the soul thing?
How do you get the soul to be happy?
Yeah.
If you quiet the mind, naturally the soul thrives.
Where does the soul live?
So it's not where it lives. You're surrounded in it. We call it consciousness.
Okay.
When a baby's born, there is a soulfulness to the baby. Joy, love, enthusiasm, charisma, connection, acceptance. These are all qualities of what we would call consciousness, or what some people call a soul. We are born with it. We're surrounded in it. It's like me asking you, where's the life of a fish? In the ocean or in the fish?
No, it's both.
It's in both. If you take the fish out of the ocean, it's a dead fish. It's not a fish. It doesn't function and operate like a fish. So life of the fish is in the water and in the fish. Like that, our life, what we really want, we're born with, and it's in us and around us.
So I'm going to have you just drill down a little bit more into the last two part. How does one bring the inner peace and the emotional peace? And I would absolutely love if you can guide people to get to that meditation, because people think of this meditation that is for people who are sages, people who are philosophers, people who are just not connected to real life, right? So what is meditation? How do you bring it to life? How do you make it part of your life?
It's interesting. So let me backtrack a little bit. I was a lawyer, a prosecutor in Los Angeles. I worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and then I moved to the LADA's office, and I had it all by the standards of a profession, a career, relationship, parents, family, health, going to the gym and doing my thing, right? But somehow I would find myself dragging myself out of bed in the morning or putting the snooze button on and not really jumping out of bed, the enthusiasm, the excitement to know who's sleeping next to me, I'm happy about, and where I have to go for the day, I'm happy about. Now, you're a big advocate of that, right?
Absolutely.
Get up out of bed and thrive. That's it. There's nothing in between.
If you're not, you're doing something wrong.
Exactly. So you are one of those people, without knowing it, perhaps, are thriving on what we call an innate source of power, vital force, or life energy. It's something we're surrounded in. It's basic physics. Without energy, nothing moves.
Agreed.
It's the ability to move. If you want to change something in your mind, you want to change something in your life, you want to change something internally, you need energy. You need what is called vital force. And I'm not talking energy, your cup of coffee or pushing through adrenal response. I'm really talking about that energy, that vitality that we're born with. A 5-year-old will wipe out a room full of adults, right? Yep. And they have everything we want. So the idea of meditation, the idea of relaxation is nothing more than looking inward. With your eyes open, with your ears open, 90% of our attention is where?
Outside.
Outside.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about, thrive factor, stamina, resilience, agility, connection, that's an internal journey. And all we're asking people to do is close their eyes. It is the process of enhancing perception. So something very beautiful. Vedanta breaks down our mental faculties.
What is Vedanta?
Vedanta is the ancient science and wisdom of India.
Okay.
Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, a lot of these traditions come out of ancient India, Vedic or Vedantic tradition. Yoga is a system or a part of that. Yeah. So it breaks our mental faculty into 3 separate units: perception, intellect, meaning the labeling faculty, and memory, or the storage faculty. If you notice in the world, at home and at school, we're taught the later 2. When we're born, we have intelligence. I'm not talking intellect, intelligence, right? A baby, if you clap your hand, knows exactly where to look, where the direction of the sound is. There is innate intelligence. There's innate joy. But before we even reach 1 year old, what do parents do, all in the name of, I want my kids to succeed? They start teaching them to label. Apple, red, box, 1, 2. We constantly teach them to label what's in front of them, and they repeatedly hear it, store it, and then do the same thing again. That's not what Moonshot's about. You got to leap out of your memory. You got to leap out of your labels in order to do something great or something more. That is the 3rd faculty. You're hearing what I'm saying, that perception is the key to human thriving. And nowhere do we learn how to expand our awareness, our perception, meaning to be, to receive all the data that comes to us, process it, and potentially make the decision at that moment to act on it. So meditation, breathing techniques, all the tools that are offered by Vedanta or perhaps even Buddhism is about enhancing the ability to be, to perceive, to take in the information and respond with greatness, respond with potentiality. So the simplest thing I would say to people is, if nothing else, see meditation as a process of spending time with yourself, to tune in, to reconnect, to sort of reclaim your power that you are born with, that you have within you, and you're not using fully because you're operating on your past, labeled, stored stuff that may or may not work in this moment.
So here's an interesting one. A lot of people who actually need the meditation the most will tell you, I just wish I had that 20 minutes to do the meditation, right? And those are the people who need it the most. So what do you tell the people who say, I just don't have 20 minutes?
Look, if somebody comes to you and say, if you put in $2,000 and you're going to get back in a matter of 10 or 15 minutes, $20,000, I bet you they wouldn't hesitate. 20 minutes of your time will exponentially give you back time. Look, you know people, you know kids, you know a lot of adults. They read something, they hear something, and they don't comprehend because they're not present. So they have to go back and reread it or rehear it or ask someone to say that again. hundreds and hundreds of great ideas are given. Why does someone catch it and someone else doesn't? Because they're not present. So meditation actually buys you time. If you're one of those who is missing time, I'm telling you,
You need the most.
you need it the most because it'll buy you time in your life.
So how does one meditate? I mean, this is something people think is so difficult to do. I can't focus on a dot. I can't do that. This idea, this meditation is, oh my God, this is impossible to do.
No, but those are concepts. Those are ideas. If you talk about meditation as a way of stopping thought, I get it.
Yeah.
But that's not what meditation is.
So tell us what meditation is.
Meditation is actually the ability to perceive what is going on in your inner world as it is. You're not trying to fix anything. You're not trying to resist anything. You're not negating anything. You're allowing whatever is there to be there. But here's the thing. If you use your breath with the meditation or the practice of meditation, it becomes as easy as lifting a dumbbell. Any idiot can do it. You need to pick it up, you put it down, and you build a muscle. You don't need to focus. You don't need to concentrate. You don't need to think about it. Your breathing is one mechanism that takes you into a state of meditation, and it requires no thing from your mind.
But
just
here
a physical
I'm breathing.
effort.
You and I both breathing. Are we meditating?
Well, you're not aware. That's the difference. You're not consciously breathing. I don't know if you know this, but how you breathe has a relationship to how you think and how you feel.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
You know that when you're angry, you don't breathe the same way as when you're relaxed.
Of course.
When you're calm, you breathe a very long, very imperceptible breath. The in and the out breath are very uniform.
Which is like when you're sleeping.
That's right. And you hear, excuse me for a moment, but you'll hear this.
Yeah.
Right? There's a smoothness to it. But if you're sad, if you're angry, your breath is very specific to that emotion. Science tells you if you show someone a picture with an emotion, their breath moves in a very specific way.
Of course.
You could reverse it. If you breathe in the emotion you want, you will create and live that emotion.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
So you can actually change what's going in your mind simply by changing the breathing, by reversing the think pattern.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to do something that I have never done.
Okay.
So we're going to do a live meditation. You're going to show people how we actually can do that. Because I am the person who probably needs it the most, right? So let's go do a 60-second.
I want to tell your audience, you're not a fair sample, okay? Because you're not your average guy who's willing to somehow let things bog him down. But you have to do a fair test. Okay? So I want you to close your eyes for a second. All right? And you're doing nothing. You're just sitting there, right? And all I'm asking you to do is to tune in with yourself in this moment. And what does that mean? You're sitting in a chair, and the audience out there, you can do it also just to see what's going on. You're sitting in a chair. Feel the chair you're sitting in with your mind. You're not looking. And then you're realizing perhaps your heart is beating. Perhaps your breath you're becoming aware of. You're not doing anything. You're conscious that you're on camera, eyes are closed. Just the awareness, not good or bad. And if there is a judgment, let it be. And what I'm asking you to do now is to take a long breath in. And the trick is breathe past your capacity. Longer, longer, longer. Little more, Naveen, little more. Hold and out. See, you calculated your breath out. That tells me something about your mind. I want you to just breathe in. Breathe in, longer, longer, longer. Hold, and very quickly release your breath. Check in again with yourself. And open the eyes.
Wow. What an amazing.
Don't bullshit.
That's an amazing experience.
What do you notice, though?
Yeah. Is that I was actually didn't even know you were here.
Okay, so for me, what I notice is the tone of your voice has gone more inward. You're a guy full of energy. You still have that energy. The only difference
took my energy away.
No. The only difference is you're allowing in that moment more data to come to you. If you're already allowing 1,000 units of data to come to you, you went up to 1,000 plus.
Wow.
And that's perception. Okay. Can I just do another little experiment with
please.
you, and then you can decide
Of
if
course.
you want to keep it or not. Oh,
Of course.
close your eyes. So I'd love, if you have anything, think about a moment that stresses you. Maybe it was, I don't know, fight with the spouse. That's often a good thing for most people. Just think of something, if you have, that stresses you. And as you do that, do you notice that there's a change in your heartbeat or heart rate? Bring all the details to your awareness. Who that person is or what that situation is and what it does to your system. When you get impatient, when you're irritated, think of that situation. And now I'm asking you a question. Do you notice a shift in your heartbeat or your heart rate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What about your breath? Any shift there?
Oh, yeah. Cannot breathe. Too fast.
Faster.
Yeah.
Certainly it's increased. Any shift in your body temperature?
Don't know. Hard to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
You notice anything in terms of your thoughts? Perhaps they're more intense or speeding up, or not as positive or as neutral as
It's not
before.
relaxed. It's definitely not relaxed.
Okay. So I'd love for you to take a breath in. Take a long breath in. Hold. Out. One more breath in. Longer. And out. I'm really asking you a question. Do you notice a shift in your heartbeat, heart rate?
I think it starts to get back to normal.
One more breath. And out. Open the eyes. Your physical response to stress calmed down, correct?
Yep.
That is the process of entering into meditation. You're moving out of stress towards the present.
Why don't you just get rid of the stress to begin with?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why we
Why don't
say
you just get rid of the things that causes stress?
the wife you can't get rid of.
The things that cause you stress.
You can't get rid of your kids and your wife and your job.
Why would they cause you stress?
Because of perception.
Aha.
It's because your mind, based on your conditioned response of the past, views the situation either as positive or negative. And we think we do new things every day, but most people, they don't. They operate from a conditioned response, doing the same thing. The only difference is the object has changed. Today I'm pissed off about you, and tomorrow about the traffic, and the third day about something else. And addressing the objects outside, you don't solve anything. You have to look inside. That's about mental health. That's about mental stamina. That's about resilience, agility, and the ability to connect back.
So that's about we are so used to playing the old movies back. Only the actor and the thing changes, but ultimately we're replaying the same movies. And what you're really saying is that, hey, think of yourself that you are the director and the producer and actor of this movie. This movie is going to be a different movie from the past movie, and you're not going to allow the same ending to happen.
Correct. Unless you're one of those directors who copies somebody else's movie and does it all over again. We really do operate from our past. I have a question. Do we have a present or a future?
The point is, you can't change the past.
Exactly.
And you cannot live in the future.
Yes.
So the only thing you really have is what you have now, because that's the only thing guaranteed. Everything else is either happened that you can't change, or you don't know what is going to happen.
That's
and
right.
you can't live in it, right?
That's right.
Right. And
That's right.
even though I'm the guy who will tell you that a moonshot is all about living in the world that doesn't exist, because once you can visualize that world that doesn't exist and you live in it, you can create that world.
Correct. But most people visualize based on what experiences they had
So they want
yesterday.
to create the world of the past.
Exactly.
They want to make the America great again, not make the America great,
That's
period.
right. That's right. Again, it's exactly right.
Yeah.
Our future is nothing more than our anticipated past. We just give it another coat of color on it. That's all. And it really takes some level of self-commitment, whether that's 10 minutes a day or not, willing to reconnect, to say, that didn't work for me. I'm going to do it differently.
But what if you think like a moonshot thinking, where you say, I'm going to visualize the world that I want to live in, and that world, like for in my case, is a world without diseases. And you can describe to people and say, imagine a world where your grandma is not sick. She doesn't need a walker. She doesn't need a stick. She is able to walk and climb the mountain. Remember the friend that you lost. What if that did not have to happen?
Okay, so that's great.
Yeah.
However, the limbic brain is wired and they don't know how to let that piece go. What you're talking about is frontal cortex, reason, decision making, logic, analysis. To some degree, that works. But for many people, they don't know how to access the limbic brain, what they're holding on to. And so what happens is they're there visualizing the disease-free world. I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's the moonshot I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually thriving human right that we're born with. They're sitting there, they're visualizing it. And you'll notice that a lot of people in the middle of that vision, in the middle of that dream, skew away and end up with, oh, but what if not that? The negativity peaks in. Why? Because the driver is the limbic brain. It's not the frontal cortex.
So it's really, if you look at the amygdala, it's designed to look for the dangers. It's designed to look for the fear, designed to look for the things that can go wrong.
Right.
Because that is what kept us alive.
Yeah.
But going back to our own culture here, we realized long time ago, if we can simply change our mindset to say, it is what it is, it will be what will be, only thing we can control is our own action and not focus on the results, then you always get to live in the present and you get to act, because that's something you can do now rather than predict what's going to happen in the future.
But it's interesting. Even that comes through some degree of diving past the surface thinking. You know what? It's interesting. I met someone recently who happened to know you from college days.
Okay.
Yeah. Jasbir. I don't know if you would remember. But anyway,
Sure.
He said, oh, I know him. I went to university with him. And I said, How was he like?
Yeah.
Was he full of this energy and enthusiasm and all of that? I said, well, actually, he seemed quite quiet and shy and in his universe. And if I think about what I know a little bit about your history, it would make sense. And then at some point, he arrived at a conclusion. I'm no longer living that past. And I'm going to learn the lessons, but excel out of the box and leap into the future of what I see it to be. How many people, Naveen, do you know who live that way?
I'll tell you what happened. What happened was my falling in love with myself. I stopped caring about what other people think.
Well, but you just answered my question. Yeah. You fell in love with yourself. Most people don't spend time loving themselves.
And my point, and loving themselves is not about adoring yourself.
No.
Loving yourself is not looking for someone's approval.
Agree.
And the reason that stopped me was I always wonder, what will they think? What will he think? What will she think? What will they think? And once I came to the conclusion, it doesn't matter. What matters is what I think. My world changed for me.
Yeah.
I really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I love for them to be happy for me, but if they don't, it's their problem.
That's right. But that determination, quote, erased, deleted the hard drive of anything that was there in the past, And there are simple ways to delete that hard drive. Most people walk around, sometimes you're working on a computer.
Yeah.
You're working on one file now, but there's maybe 9 or 10 files open in the background. Those files that are open are sucking energy from the computer.
They're sucking memory. They're sucking everything.
Everything, right? The potentiality of that computer is depleting.
Yep.
What happens? We have hundreds of files open in the background. I couldn't, my mother didn't, I didn't, I failed, all that shit.
Yep.
Hundreds of tabs are open in the background. And right now I'm seemingly only working on this business or this relationship or this idea. But the background, just like the
Taking
computer
everything.
Anticipates the old history, our hard drive does the same. And there are ways to close those tabs so that what's there is just that one file that you're working on. Then you have the power, the potentiality to say, I don't give a shit, as you said. Yeah. They can be happy for me or not. It doesn't matter. I'm living my life. And how do you close those tabs? One is a very firm, clear determination, like you. But that determination, Naveen, came because there was a source of innate power in you. If you were a depleted person, you couldn't reach that space. And that is the key piece that I'm talking about. For everything, you need some degree of juice, some degree of energy. And if you're one of those who's running on empty, you don't know how to close those tabs. In fact, you slow every piece of you down, everything from memory to intellect to efficiency to get up and go, the gusto of life. And meditation, breathing, enhancing vital force are very easy ways to regain and reclaim your power.
Rajshree, I mean, this I have learned more in the last, last 20 minutes, 25 minutes than I think any other episode that I have been part of. Have you ever considered writing a book?
I have a book.
Oh my God. So tell me more about the book. What is the name of the book?
It's called The Power of Vital Force.
Power of Vital Force.
Fueling Purpose and Performance.
And is it available on Amazon now?
Absolutely. Amazon, Barnes & Nobles.
So just go ahead and Power of Vital Force by Rajshree Patel.
Force by Rajshree Patel.
What is this book about?
It's exactly about that. Stop running on empty, enhance and reclaim your power so you fuel everything you want to do in life that matters to you. It's not enough to live your life by getting through what you have to do. That wouldn't be Moonshot for sure. No. It's about doing what you want to do. What
like my flight. Did I tell you that I'm going to go fly on F-16 with a Blue Angel?
Crazy.
Everyone tells me, oh, don't do that. That is from me. I'm going to go do that.
I wish I was going too. That's amazing. I'd be scared, but I'd do it because for the exact reason that you said, you got to do it. Yeah. You got to move and get through what you want to do and not sit back. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So tell me more about this book because I am just, by the way, everyone who's listening to it, and if you're not fascinated by what she's saying, I think you just have to go back and replay this thing again because you must not have been paying attention because this is one of the most important things you can actually do is to listen to everything that she's saying. And please go buy this book because it's going to change your life, right? So read this book. It's not going to take your time. In fact, it's going to give you 10 times more your time back, right? So please go take time to buy the book, re-listen to this podcast because you're going to learn so much. So Rajshree, back to the book again.
So there are lots of tools and tips. It's not just a conversation or concepts. There are plenty of tips in there. And
give me the couple of tips here.
So there are breathing tips in there, for instance.
So what are the tips? Give us a tip.
I can't. You have to go and practice them.
No, but what are the tips? I mean,
So one simple thing I can tell you is if you breathe past your normal capacity, you will release what's stuck in your head that much quicker. What I mean by that is, you've heard the old adage, come on, man, just breathe. Take a deep breath, relax. Yeah. It's a simple tool to relax, breathe fully. Most people breathe only to the degree they can in their fixed state.
So they're not expanding their lungs.
That's right. So you want to breathe past your capacity. So if you're stressed or not stressed and you breathe, then I would say breathe a little more. Push through it and take in more air because every time you breathe in, you're taking in life force, vital energy. And every time you breathe out, you have the ability not only detox your body, lactic acid, as you know, goes out through the breath, CO2 goes out through the breath, all the pollution and stuff that we carry around goes out through the breath, but you also empty something out of your head, mind. What people don't realize that our biggest energy hog is our mind. I don't know if you know, Deepak Chopra talks about 60 to 80,000 thoughts in waking hours. That's a book in itself, right? Men think a little less. They have about 60,000 thoughts. I'm not going there. And women have 80,000 thoughts just because they're smarter, I suppose.
I guess so.
Yeah, okay. Because they're emotional. They have more thoughts. That's why you'll hear women say, you don't talk to me. You don't share time with me. Because there's more activity going on mentally just out of emotion. those thoughts are sucking you dry. You can't even figure out what is your moonshot thought and what is thoughts that you don't need.
Stop thinking less. Become like man.
Well, how do you do that? Use your breath.
Become dumber like man.
No, men need to think a little stronger and faster and better, not stop thinking altogether. That's the reason why we're in the mess we're in. Look what we have going on in the world, a guy who doesn't think.
Yeah.
There's no thinking going on. That's also a problem. We want insight. For insight, intuition, we actually have to turn our sight inward onto ourselves. And that's when you get a eureka moment.
So I'm going back to breathing again. As you said, I think this is so important for people to know. Going past what you're normally used to. It's no different than, lifting weight. If you keep lifting the same 10 pounds, you're not going to build the muscle. So if you want to build the muscle, you got to go to 12 and 15 and 20, and you have to keep increasing. That's how you build muscle.
Brilliant.
And when you're breathing in, you got to expand that lungs capacity.
Correct.
Because the more you can breathe in, the more energy you have for your brain, because every single part of your energy, brain needs it, right?
Correct.
And in fact, as you say, you detoxify when you exhale, right?
Yeah.
So the more you take in, the more you get to take out, right?
Yes.
So breathing is energy, and you're taking out all the toxins, right? So that's just, you get double whammy. You get more energy and you get rid of all the toxins, right?
Correct. So that's a single most valuable tip. Breathe past your capacity,
Very
as
good.
you said, instead of a 10-pound dumbbell all the time, increase it by a little bit. The second thing to do, which I think would really speak well to also Vyom and what you talk about, health, is as you enter sleep, enter with breath. The quality of your sleep is determined by how you enter sleep.
So how do you do that?
So most people enter sleep by debriefing in their head their day. I should have, would have, could have, yada, yada, yada goes on as they're going into sleep. That happened, that didn't happen, tomorrow I have to do that, the deadline, what am I going to do about the project? If you enter sleep this way, your gut, that raw gut I'm talking about, not just the digestion, has been activated. You fall asleep, and what you're doing is you're triggering limbic thinking during sleep. And oftentimes when you wake up, you've already kind of triggered a gut response that is stressful. So what we say is enter sleep with your breath. Here's what I mean. Number one, your breath is in the present moment. Number two, what you already talked about, what we've discussed, when you breathe in, you breathe in fresh energy. It's actually life itself. Your first breath, your first act of life, right? So you breathe in energy. And when you breathe out, you empty your mind and your body to whatever degree. When you sleep, lie on your back or on your side, it doesn't matter. Just start. Commit to yourself, I will do 10 long, easy breaths in and out. What that does is it allows you to go past that thinking and into a deeper layer of sleep. You enter at a quieter state. You will get much more out of your sleep.
Wow.
We've measured it. You'll see that there's greater REM sleep. Enter sleep with your breath. It's neutral. It's in the present moment. It's adding energy, and it's releasing the day. Every time you sleep, it's a death, meaning it's over. You begin fresh in the morning. And the last thing I would say in terms of a tip is first thing in the morning, you do 10 breaths. Anybody can do this. To your point, it doesn't take time, right? You get up in the morning, even if you're one of those who hits the snooze button, fine, hit it. Do 10 breaths in and out. Big key. While we're sleeping, as you know, we're processing a lot of information. A lot of it is releasing stress, right? But oftentimes we don't get a completed sleep cycle. You get woken up in the middle because life demands you to get up. And when you wake up in the middle, we often have that day that says, I don't know, I just feel like I didn't get off on the right foot. That feeling, that nagging noise of shit happens and it gets worse.
That's basically your brain thought did not complete.
Correct. Yeah. When you were sleeping, you didn't complete a cycle. Yeah. And if you breathe, it's a physiological response. You shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Yeah. And as a result, you now give yourself a chance to have a morning miracle. Yeah. Get up and start your day on the right foot. foot. So I always say to people, if you don't want to learn there are many, many breathing techniques that really optimize your mind, your body, your emotion, and so on. At least these two things every day at night, 10 breath, first thing in the morning, 10 breath, and in the between periods, you'll see what happens to most people. I don't know if you're one of those people, but they leave the house. Yeah. Before they reach the office, they've already yada, yada, yada. Yeah. I got to do this, meet my boss, do this. They arrive in the office, they've triggered sympathetic system on.
Yeah.
That's not necessary. Sometimes it's necessary, but it's not necessary on a daily basis. It's damaging to the system.
In fact, I can add one more for you,
please,
which is just before eating, you need to enter in the parasympathetic state.
Correct.
Because when you're in sympathetic state, the digestive system shuts down.
Correct.
So if you can just take 3 breaths before eating, you will digest the food better. Period.
Exactly. So I give them 5 tips for the day, or I tell them 5 times breathe consciously at night, first thing in the morning, when you arrive at the office, just before you start your lunch, and just before you start your way home, so that the traffic doesn't bog you down. This 5 times, 10 breath. You don't have to do much more than that. You'll see it makes a difference. And if you're interested in more, find someone, let them teach you. You'll see what it can do for you.
Well, Rajshree, we could talk for hours. Unfortunately, we are getting to the end of this thing. But I can tell you that maybe, would you consider coming back on this thing and just do another 35 minutes? Because I could go on forever.
I would love to, Naveen. Well, thank you so much.
Everyone who's been listening to this, as you can possibly see, I am just super excited. What a great, great learning here. So please do me a favor. Listen to it as many times as you can, Learning to Breathe. And please go buy this book, Power of Vital Force by Rajshree Patel. And thank you, Rajshree, for what an honor to be here.
Thank you.